Alright guys, so here's a video reflection of my time at Full Sail. So this is for the final journal entry, which I've been working on. This is just a little self-reflection, going through the year little bit by little bit, and kind of bringing it all together. Alright, so the first part of the program, of course, is the mastery class. And that class, basically, you read the Robert Greene book, and I'm pretty sure the whole point is it's supposed to inspire you and kind of get you going. You're also doing an analysis of what other people do to be successful, and one of those things, of course, is the 10,000 hours, and another one is deciding on what you want to focus on, and of course, you have the Venn diagram of, where your passions meet the markets and everything else. But, the driving force behind that course, I think, in my mind, was to get you excited and raring to go. You want to really get passionate at the beginning. If I was going to say there's one weakness in the program, it's that I think there's at some point there almost needs to be like a year or two like refresher, and I know it's technically half a year, but like halfway through you need something in there to kind of get that steam going again. See, I think especially for online students at that point there's a certain amount of disconnection. You're not necessarily part of the Full Sail community in Orlando. And that means that, there's nothing plugging you in if the school isn't making an effort to plug you in. You can go to events, you can do things like that. But even there, it's kind of, you're kind of an observer as opposed to part of the community. So that's just one area I'd touch on. After that, we started the programming classes, and, I consider the programming classes, I guess, advanced programming for mobile games and emerging technologies. And those were good. Of course, I had a limited background coming into this in terms of mobile games, or in terms of programming in general. Um, I think that the theoretical basis for a lot of what was going on was easy for me, but then the actual application was much more difficult. And I think that's a theme that will carry forward. Because again, a lot of the way the application expresses itself is through coding, which is not necessarily something that was a strength moving into this process. I think in a way that's very real, I had less experience than most people coming in, because a lot of them had the computer science background and all the things that go with that. But there's a certain amount. I've taught myself things before, and this is just one of those things that have to do that with. So as we moved on throughout the courses, I learned a lot. I started to develop a preference for Unity rather than the other development engines. But, and started to work in that and regularly program in C Sharp, and I started to get a handle on things. The next two courses, or the next course after that, the industry course, I'm trying to remember back to that. I remember we did some basic stuff about learning about monetization strategies. The major thing I carried forward, I think, from that was reading industry articles every day. Getting on Gamasutra and kind of, immersing myself, kind of getting a sense of where everyone else thought things were. Because I think that's important. After that, we had the two courses on game theory, design, and all that stuff. And those were good. I liked those a lot. Game theory, of course, kind of went like right to my inner economist. I hadn't really done a lot of that kind of stuff since I was in college. I majored in economics in college, so um, economic decision making and and its AI applications, I think, is a fascinating field. It's not something I'm very good at yet, but it's something I might want to delve into after I graduate. For sure. I've got a reading list like that long, so I'll definitely delve into that. And the UI and visual development aspects of it, um, for that, I I learned a lot in that course, and I think that when you get to the actual applications of that, you can second guess yourself a lot because there's so much information there, and depending on the principle you're trying to apply, you can go kind of back and forth between two decisions because often principles can be kind of conflicting. Um, then we moved on to the kind of business and organizational aspect of things. I think I got a good handle on that eventually. I think this is where I started to struggle a little bit, just in having everything come together. As an INTP, I'm kind of like the big picture, theoretical thinker, that kind of person, and so organization isn't necessarily a strength. And that's something that I think I grew a lot on over the course of the program. Um, I'm not going to say I was perfect with the Gantt charts or anything like that, but I got to the point where I was doing it regularly. I've updated my own TDDs, even past where people are supervising me, and I've really appreciated the importance of doing all that in managing your software. So what ultimately happened next was we, got into all the mobile development and testing courses, and that's where I really got into the applications of things, and it took us a while. We kept going at it, and we developed a pretty good project. I think the Fantasy Blade that was developed in Unity, the Unity version of it, was coming along. I mean, there were still some pretty big errors in there. It wasn't a perfect product, but ultimately, it was one that it got pushed out of the marketplace by newer products that were coming along, and I think that's something that I needed to kind of think of, but so we reformed it, I revisited it, and I got a new version of it up and going, and I think it's better than the original version. I'm glad we made those changes. And I'm also glad, during that time I got to work with everyone at, I guess it's Selec. And that was a wonderful experience. I think I liked working with other people. I think that's a great way to give your students the opportunity to plug into the community, especially for online students who, like I said before, don't necessarily have that regularly. So, that was a really fun experience that I had during these courses, was I got to do Barnabas Home. And, it was fun working with everyone. It was fun being plugged in. Um, and ultimately, it's something I might do again. Then we moved on to full space in these, and that was also a good project. We did the network integration, and we got everything up and working there. That was only about a week, so it didn't take very long, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But it was definitely a turning point in that I dove into the documentation, and whereas a year ago, I think I was, I wasn't very confident in my approach to getting into the documentation and learning everything, and just really playing with the mechanics if I don't get something. Now I can do that. And I think that was a wonderful moment when I got to that point that I realized that that was something I could do. And that brings us kind of to today. We're wrapping things up here, and you know, I'm excited. I don't know exactly what's next, but there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of things that I look forward to being a part of. I think that pretty much covers everything. Um, okay, so over the last year, my approach to mobile games has changed in that, I am that more confident person now. I have learned a lot. Obviously, I do a lot of research. There's still certain areas that I'm a little timid in. I think sometimes I have a tendency to overthink things, certain things, theoretical things. But that's part of life, and it's part of my personality. But ultimately, I think that the majority of things I am I can kind of sail through now. So yeah, okay. I think I've just about covered everything, and I don't want to ramble anymore. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this.